what are you passionate about? Follow that, pay attention to that, and pay attention to what makes you happy, what brings you joy, and follow that. And I would say the way I was able to connect those dots and navigate those big decisions, I was very attentive to myself and what I wanted to do because I was raised in a family that was very big on one authenticity, but also really serving community with your specific talents and your specific skill sets. So you have to know what those are.
Hi, I am Aboimboro, a corporate girl who also has multiple passions. When I'm not at my 9 to 5, I spend time focusing on growing my small side business that I love. I created From Stack to Unstoppable podcast to give you simple, actionable strategies to help you get unstuck from limiting beliefs and find your purpose. If you're a professional, a 9 to 5er, or an aspiring entrepreneur and are looking to get out of your comfort zone, use your God-given talents and passion, you, my friend, are in the right place. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of From Stack to Unstoppable podcast. I am your host, Wachira. Today on the show, I have Dr. Elizabeth Wachira. Now, Dr. Wachira is an assistant professor and a director of the public health program at the Texas A&M University. Dr. E is also an ordained minister. And in today's episode, she talks about her professional journey and how she likes to serve people. Whether it's helping her students or mentoring the youth or serving at her church, Dr. E's passion for people is quite evident. What I found very valuable in this conversation is Dr. E's unwavering faith in God in every decision that she makes. She also has a deep appreciation for her family, and she credits her confidence to her mom. So this conversation was very enjoyable. I enjoyed talking to Dr. E. I gained so much insight from her, and I can't wait for you to listen. So let's bring Dr. E in. Hi there, Elizabeth. Thank you very much for being on my show.
Absolutely, you are most welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Very nice. So please tell my listeners who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So in short, my name is Elizabeth Wachira. Depending on where they may connect with me, I'm also called Dr. E. Based in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I am an ordained minister, a pastor, and I work with young people, but I'm also a professor, so I teach young people. So I love being in that space of supporting, encouraging, and empowering young people, whether it is on the pulpit or in the classroom or in the community.
Very nice. And I will now, what do you like to be called? Because I know you personally through your family. Should I call you Dr. E?
Yeah, Dr. E.
Let's go. You earned it. You earned it, Dr. E. So tell us a little bit about your journey. And I know you moved from Kenya to the States. Tell us a little bit about that and your professional journey.
Yes, so well, it's definitely that's a great question first because sometimes we get focused on seeing where somebody is and not the journey. So moved to this country with my parents. I have a wonderful family, two amazing parents, and I always say they're the best parents in my world, my personal world.
I love that.
Two siblings. I'm the middle child. So we moved to the United States in the late 90s and transitioning and acclimating to a new place. Although it didn't feel necessarily too new, but I think it's because we were blanketed by our parents.
Yeah.
In terms of they navigated all of that and then they gave us a semblance of normalcy. Yeah, and then it was a continuation of Kenya, just in a different place, different time zone with a lot of heat because I was in Austin, it was hot.
Yes.
And so lived there, and of course, middle school, high school, and then college, did a degree in nursing. That's my bachelor's degree. And then later on, did a master's in public health. And then later on, did a PhD in population studies. And
Okay.
so in all those places, I was also very active in ministry, very active in the church in terms of just using my talents where they would fit. My parents are really big on serving. They're big on you're not just in this world to be and to take, you're in this world to also give and to serve.
Yes.
So we were always encouraged and challenged to what can you do for your community through God and what can you do in the church? And so I would volunteer in Sunday school and then later on with a youth group. And that's where I was a youth leader during my nursing career. And then I became, at that point, couldn't be called a pastor since I wasn't ordained, but naturally people started thinking of me as that.
Okay.
So that's how I evolved in the ministry area. And I always say ministry and profession for me go hand in hand because it's the same person doing the same thing in a different setting. The same
Nice.
skills I use in teaching are the same skills I use in administrative work, in ministry, in teaching and preaching. So I developed all of those skill sets, and I always say my work experience comes from the church. I learned how to public speak, doing announcements. I learned how to deal with people, running events, and all those skills just came together. And
Yeah.
now I am a professor, so I teach. I run a public health program at A&M University Commerce. I'm the
Yes.
public health program director. So my job is to write curriculum, to teach classes, to advise students. So it's very people-centered and using my talents, again, that's the thing, using my talents, my skill set to empower the young student trying to figure out their career and their trajectory. And in the same way, working with youth, young adults. I'm the student pastor. So from Sunday school all the way to young adults and planning events, planning services,
Yeah.
and very people-centered, people-oriented. So my journey has really been people-centered, people-oriented.
Yeah.
And that's how I came to be. I navigated career, I navigated the school setting and here I am. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. And I do know about your parents. When you say that they are the best parents in your world, they are the best parents. I know they're just great. And I, like we were talking before we started, I did interview your brother, and he did say the same thing that your parents, were very big on giving back and
Mhm.
serving the community, giving back to the community. And that's what all of you are doing. So
Yeah.
you're such good listeners.
Thank you, thank
You're the
you.
best kids in the world for your parents.
Yes, I would hope they would say the same thing. I think they do. They tell us personally, not just publicly, but they really reinforce us personally. In our WhatsApp groups, it's a lot of great job, keep God first, you're doing great, you're here to serve the community, shine Jesus everywhere you go. So they do that privately and publicly. So
Wow, that's just awesome. And we'll talk a little bit about that too. So let's talk about now your journey to your career. And it sounds like if you connect the dots back, I think
mhm,
this is something that you started, even like you're saying, you served in the youth, a church, and now you're here, you're a teacher, you're a
yes.
professor, you're working with the youth. Does that seem like when you connect the dots, it's like it started all the way from back when you were
Yes,
younger?
it did, right? It did. For me, it did. It was a very logical journey, and I know sometimes that's not the case, so I don't want to make it seem like it should be very logical, it should make sense, it should develop naturally, but that would be the hope. And
Right.
for me, I'm blessed and thankful that that was the trajectory that mine did. And I want to say it's really because I didn't focus necessarily on a title or what I wanted to be. I always said, for example, I want to be a doctor because I want to help people this way. I
Yeah.
want to do this because I want to do this. So it was always tied to my passion. And that's what I tell my students. I go, what are you passionate about? Follow that, pay attention to that, and pay attention to what makes you happy, what brings you joy, and follow that. And I would say the way I was able to connect those dots and navigate those big decisions
Right.
I was very attentive to myself and what I wanted to do because I was raised in a family that was very big on one authenticity, but also really serving community with your specific talents and your specific skill sets. So
Yeah.
you have to know what those are. So I think being raised in hearing that and also seeing my parents doing that, they love this. My mom is a prayer warrior, my goodness. So that's her area. She loves that.
Yes,
So
I
that's
know.
where she stays and operates. And my dad is an extrovert. He never meets a stranger. He loves knowledge, philosophy, theory. He loves religion. He loves the word. He enjoys being in the word, talking the word,
Yeah.
teaching the word. So naturally, he's a theologian, he's a teacher, he's a pastor. So I
Right.
have an example of passion informs purpose and career and ministry.
Oh,
So that's how I was able to weave that thread through all my tens, my 20s, and now my 30s.
yes.
I always follow my passion, and I believe as a believer, those are God-given. Those desires that I have are really God-given, and He's aligned them to my purpose. So if I follow what brings me peace when I'm doing it, then I know that's affirmation from God that I am where He wants me to be. So
Right.
I was able to serve. I enjoyed working with young people. I had a talent for planning mission trips. It just came easy. It came
Mm,
easy for me,
yeah.
but not necessarily that it was easy. I was just passionate about it, and I was strategic and very plan oriented and goal oriented. So it was natural for me to be the one that's coordinating the mission or the field trip. And that developed. And now those skills that I use, I'm using them to develop and plan curriculum, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, for me, it was passion connected progress.
Passion connected progress. That's really beautiful, Dr. E. And your parents, I mean, it's amazing to hear they're that encouraging, just really giving life, because really the words we use, they
Yes,
either build
yes,
up or destroy. So I'm really happy to hear that that's what they do, and they affirm you. Or I know a lot of people didn't grow up that way. So you're very, very fortunate, very blessed to have grown up that way. So now you're here with and you teach, you're a professor. Tell us a little bit about that and why you chose and you've already told us, your passion connected the purpose. Is that what you said? Passion?
yes, passion connected progress.
Progress.
I
Okay.
like that. I actually need to remember that myself.
I know, I like it. That's passion connects the progress. Now,
Yes,
tell us what you do and how has that been? Your teaching. What area do you focus on at your job?
sure. So I focus on public health.
Okay.
And it makes sense. Public health is all about working with other people to positively impact the health and well-being of people through
Right.
education, through programs, through empowerment. So I'm literally in my niche area.
Yes.
And I want to say it's God ordained, the scripture that talks about a um in humans' heart, they plan their ways, but it is the Lord that directs their path. I'm probably misquoting it. But the idea is, I have
You're right on point on it.
yes, but if I give that and commit that to God and I say, Lord, not my will, not my plans, but your plans, He
Yes.
will direct them. He will ordain certain connection points and open certain doors and close certain doors. And for
Yes.
me, I've had opening and closing of doors. So when I graduated with my master's program, of course, I wanted to do a PhD. And the reason I wanted to do a PhD, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm boring. I wanted to be a boss, period. I
You
wanted
want to be a boss.
yes, and it's good to know who you are and what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think I wanted to be a boss. I wanted to be the one that informs things, that at least in some way I have some influence, a voice
Yes.
in what is happening and what is being done. And I am so glad that what I spoke into existence and the desire to be a boss, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not overconfidence, it is God confidence. Because we ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and you shall find. So I said, God, I want to be a boss babe. I want to be a boss lady for you. Right. And so when I graduated with my master's, I was applying to PhD programs because I knew, okay, there's a few ways to become this. Have 20, have 20 at that time, 20 to 30 years of experience in a field, or be highly educated. Well, it makes sense to be highly educated because I am a nerd. I love learning. I learning on anything. It doesn't matter what it is. So
Okay.
it makes sense. And again, I was following footsteps, my father, my brother. So it wasn't an example I didn't know and see. So I started applying into programs, and this is where having a group of people, right? And
Mhm.
people you can trust, and you can trust with your goals, your dreams, your desires, to pray with you, but also to counsel you. You know, blessed is the one that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, meaning I'm blessed if I walk in good counsel. So my counsel, one has always been default to my family, even my younger sister. But I consulted with my brother and I said, I'm looking at these programs. And I said, I've applied here. But by happen chance, he said, oh, I just met a lady and she graduated from this program. You should apply. I had never heard of Texas Women's University. It did not come up in my searches. But I said, you know what will it hurt? Let me apply. I applied, and that school I had applied for University of Houston. I didn't get in, but at that point it was a pride check because I was confident I would get in. I had the CV, I had the grades, I had the community service, the experience. I was a poster child for a PhD program at U of H, but I got a denial letter and I got an acceptance letter to TWU. I was disappointed, but I said, you know what? And the course, but God directs the path. So if one door closed, another one opened. So this one opened TWU. And I remember the first semester I started, and every so often when I'm on campus, I go back to that area. And it was right at the first week of class, and I said, God, this is not where I wanted to go. And you know, but you opened this door, so this is the right place. And now I may not feel like it's the right place, but I'm going to accept that it's the right place for you, for me. And I'm going to make the best of it. And whatever happens, I know whatever happens when I graduate, you will be with me. You will open the next door for this. And that was what I prayed. And so I graduated. I was applying for postdoc fellowships because I felt I wanted to do a postdoc. I applied all
Mm.
over the country, all over. I didn't really want to because I was like, oh, I want to be home. I want to be close to my nest. I'm
Right.
not my siblings. My siblings will fly everywhere, but it's good to know yourself, and that's not me. I'm not.
Mm.
Yes, I'll fly off the nest, my
Yes.
parents, but I want to be within a driving distance. And I knew in my heart that was my desire, right?
That's good.
Even when I was applying to San Francisco, to New York, I was doing it with, if I don't get in, I'm okay because
It's
it makes
okay.
sense. So, didn't get in, of course.
Okay.
And people can say you spoke that into existence. I go, well, I prayed the desire. I say, you know what, God, you know what I want, but I'm open to whatever. So be open to whatever you want is applying everywhere, and wherever God opens us, where I will go. So God denials here and there. And again, I was getting ready to do my defense, my PhD defense that day, April 5th, 2017.
Okay.
And I'm getting ready, I'm nervous. And one of my previous students, a classmate, said, oh man, Elizabeth, congratulations, you'll do great at the defense. And they asked, so what do you want to do? What are you looking for? I said, well, I'm looking at postdocs, but I'm also looking here and there. He goes, what about teaching? I go, yeah, teaching as well. I've enjoyed it because I was a TA. He
Yeah.
goes, I just emailed you a job. I said, oh, okay. I opened the email. I have never heard of A&M Commerce. You see the
It's
thing? And
Yes.
I said, well, what would it hurt? I'm going to apply.
Okay.
I applied, forget about it. The day before my graduation, May 4th, no, my graduation was May 5th. May 4th, I get an email saying that I've been selected for a phone interview. The phone interview is the day of my graduation. So that morning, I wake up to do a phone interview and then I go graduate. I forget about it. 3 weeks later, I get an email saying I've been chosen as one of the candidates to come for campus interview. Oh, and I said, okay. I go do the campus interview. A few weeks later, I get a call from the hiring department head saying, hey, Dr. Wachira, I want to offer you a job. I was like, say, okay, let me think about it. Well, there's not much to think about because there's literally nothing else.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it works this way because one thing for me, I'm very indecisive. I'm
You
indecisive.
do not look or sound like you could
I
be.
know, but you know what? God loves me so much as my father that
Yeah.
he knows his own child, that if I give Elizabeth all these choices,
Yes.
she's going to become chaotic and unconfident and not pick.
Yes.
So rather than give me A or B, he gives me A and closes
Just
CP.
one choice. No, no
And
choices.
and I am happy with that. And every choice that has been A, only A, select A only because there's only A as the option. I've selected it and I can tell you my path is God ordained. Did I plan for TWU? No. Did I plan for A&M Commerce teaching? No. But God did because I prayed a prayer. God, I commit my works to you. I commit my plans to you. First and foremost, it's not to have a career or to do this, it's to love you and to serve you. Then you will give me life in abundance, which is a good career, a stable career, but he sees after my soul first and he blesses me with everything else. And that is how my trajectory has been. And throughout all of it, my passion has grown for people. My passion has grown for community and service at every level. And that is how I come to be where I am today.
This episode is brought to you by my signature group coaching program, Thrive From Stack to Unstoppable. Thrive From Stack to Unstoppable is a most comprehensive program for overcoming limiting beliefs so you can confidently take charge of your life and career. This newly updated program is the only step-by-step approach that holistically assesses your level of fulfillment and satisfaction in the key areas of your life. This is going to help you foster a bulletproof mindset so you can have clarity, let go of fear, and those memorized patterns that are keeping you stuck from being the person that you are created to be so you can be your most authentic self and build the confidence you need to succeed in your life and career. So to sign up for the next cohort of this group coaching program, all you need to do is go to www.wamboimboro.com/thrive, and that is www.wamboimburu.com/thrive. I can't wait to see you in class. You have so much confidence and a lot of faith. Where does this confidence come from? You have a lot of confidence.
I will say it comes from my mother,
Okay.
and I'll explain, but it also comes from God, right?
Yes.
God speaks through his people because we are the hands and feet and the mouth of God.
Yeah.
So for me, and I know this is not the example or the template for all people. I've mentioned at the beginning, I've been blessed.
Yes.
Be planted in a family that is really God-centered, not by just mouth, but by action. The very foundation is God, is God, is God. And the way I've seen my parents navigate situations, decisions, they don't bring in God later. They start with God and they say, God, this is what we have. We release it to you. Open the doorway. We trust you. So I've grown up seeing that. I've grown up being a product of that prayer.
Yes.
And so I emulated that. And my mom is my biggest kingdom partner. She prays with me. She speaks to me about what God is saying. She encourages me. She challenges me because she's also a mother. So she knows her child. She knows when I'm feeling not confident or when I'm feeling scared without ever saying anything because she knows me. So
Child.
she feeds into me, she pours into me, and now I am at a point where I can pour into my own self without her because she's taught me to be a woman of faith as well. And so
Right.
that's I think it started with my mom teaching me, nurturing me, and even to this day, I'm blessed to have her voice, and her voice is one of the most influential in my life.
Yeah.
And then now I have God
Yes.
being a huge influential part with his word
Yeah.
and and what he speaks to me. And that is where I get my confidence. It has nothing to do with Elizabeth
Yes.
because who I am, where I am, what I am
Yeah.
is a product of God in me and a product of my upbringing.
Yeah.
And so I stand on that firm foundation, knowing God has never failed me, he never will. This
Yes.
is where he wants me to be. I know that without a doubt. The same
Yes.
as I know my parents are Solomon and Tabitha. My name is Elizabeth. I am confident that this is where God wants me to be. And that assurance is what gives me confidence that even when I walk in situations, I don't know what will happen. I go, God, I know you want me here. And you know what I am. You know who I am. You know my mistakes. You know my challenges. You know my
Mhm.
inadequacies. But
Yes.
thank you because your Holy Spirit has given me not a spirit of fear, but of adoption to where I am a child of God. And if I'm a child of God, I have access to all these resources. So, so that's the confidence. It's not me, it's God in me.
I love that. That's beautiful. And I do know that your mom is a big prayer warrior. She's my sister's friend, and so I know that friendship and just knowing that she's such a prayer warrior. Actually, your mom and your dad, and so I see where all this is coming from. Also,
Mhm.
that influence and that upbringing. It's made a big impact, and here now you're impacting others. It's just amazing. So just amazing. And so most of my listeners they have a lot of self-doubt. They're professionals, and sometimes they want to go to the next level of their career. Some of them are aspiring entrepreneurs. Sometimes, they want to maybe start a business or something like that, but they hold themselves back. And I'm seeing that, that confidence and that just really that faith. What would you advise that people who are holding themselves back and lacking that confidence and just not believing in themselves, and obviously believing they have, it's good to believe in a higher power. What
Yeah.
would you tell them? What advice would give them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And first to say that is everybody.
Yeah.
I have some areas in my life where I'm very confident, and then some areas
Mhm.
I am needing a push, and so I'm there too, right? Imposter syndrome kicks in,
Oh,
uncertainty,
okay. Yeah.
comparison kicks in, and I'm there too. So
Yes.
I may look like I got it, but it's not all the time that I got it.
Mhm.
But what keeps me is, again, going back to that, having a space, a counter space that challenges your thoughts
Yes.
on inadequacy and challenges what the world expects or thinks about you. So having a group of friends, family, whoever, a support team, a cheerleading team that knows you through and through, knows your capacity and your inadequacies without you ever speaking. So if you come and say, I want to go to the moon. It's like, Elizabeth, you've never liked physics, anything like that. So it doesn't allow, okay, tell me to shop, to eat, their coffee shop. So people that when you come up with an idea, it may be great, but maybe not for you,
Yeah.
or maybe need to be think out. They will not question it in a way that shuts you down.
Mhm.
They will question and challenge it in a way that gets you to look at it twice and put yourself in the mix. So I would say a group of people, and that's why even for me, I'm very intentional because I know just as much as I'm very confident in this,
Yeah.
confident people struggle
Yeah.
privately, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And people that are perfectionists, I'm a perfectionist. I struggle
Oh, join the
privately.
club.
Yeah. So you have to have people that will say, Elizabeth, it's good enough. Put it
Yes.
up because it will never be good enough for me. And
Yeah.
I'm dealing with that. But by myself, I will deal with it for 20 years. But with
Mm.
other people, I
Mm.
may shorten that time and put it out there and be scared and be like, oh, it's out there, it's gone.
Yes.
I was afraid, but my friend made me hit the submit button because I never would have done it myself.
Because
No
you're
is an island.
crossing the T's and dotting the I's.
And I'm like, no, let me sleep on it, but my friend would say, no, submit. I'm like, okay, fine. I can't take it back. So having a circle, and for me, one way I've done that is one, I have a book club called Becoming Engaged for Women.
Ah,
And this one, I launched it because one, I love reading.
okay.
And as an adult, you realize making friends or connections is actually not easy because we make connections in school, in the playground, but we're not in the playground or the schools anymore.
Right.
We're working from home remotely, so you're never with people, that kind of thing. So I have a book club for women, and any women, you're most welcome.
Yes.
We read books. We read books that that help us. We talk about them. It looks a little different now than when it started. We used to do the traditional meet once a month to talk over a book, but now it's over Zoom every 2 months because the women are mothers, they're working, they're busy.
Yeah.
They can't read a book in 3 weeks like we used to. It's going to take 12 weeks. But we've read books from, I have many of them, Daring Greatly, Dr. Brene Brown,
I love it.
Artificial Intelligence, and for me, listening to the experiences of the book club women as they have navigated finance, as they've navigated mental health challenges, as they've navigated dating or a marriage or making a business move, I listen, right?
Okay.
And I listen and I learn. I'm like, wow, you
Yeah.
struggled with that? It affirms what I'm feeling. It affirms the fear. I'm like, okay, so I'm not by myself.
You're not alone.
And then you learn how they did this. And so that's one way. And then another way is I'm launching what I'm calling my God-given assignment in this season, which is creating a nation of blooming women. The
Okay.
idea of blooming is the same way a flower, every flower has a bloom season, and some bloom once and then they're gone, others bloom every season, every whatever. So we bloom. It's seasonal. It
Yes.
may not be continuous because there's sometimes to plant, to weed, to cultivate before you sprout out.
Mhm.
And that is a multi-generational space.
Mm.
I will end with this. I believe we need at least 3 types of people in our life. And I borrowed this from Michelle Obama's quote.
Okay.
But she talks about you need 3 types of women. You need a woman that you're pulling up, that you're pouring into, that you're mentoring. You
Yes.
need a woman that's your friend, your BFF, that's doing life with you, going through what you're going through together. And then you need a woman that you can look up to, a woman that is a mentor, that can pour into you, that can teach you how they navigated this spot. And sometimes we maybe focus on me spending time with my mentors and that's it, but it's directional. The same way I'm reaching up towards somebody, I should be reaching down as well.
Yes.
And same thing, that woman that I'm reaching down to,
Yeah.
I'm her first. She's pouring into me. She has a second level person, and she also has somebody
As someone
that's
above.
pouring into her. And if we keep doing that, we will raise up a nation of blooming women that can celebrate one another, that can connect together, and be empowered and supported and celebrate. Your bloom may come in the summer. I'm
Right.
going to celebrate it because it's my blossom. Mine
Yes.
come in the winter because I'm a winter blooming flower. So in the summer when you're not blooming, and in the winter when you're not blooming, and I am, you can celebrate it because we belong to this beautiful fabric, a beautiful garden of blooming women that as long as somebody is blooming, we are all
We
blossoming.
are all blooming.
We are
in
all,
each
exactly.
season.
So that's why I'm saying your bloom
Yeah.
is our blossom. I may not be blooming in this moment, but
Yeah.
I'm blossoming because you are having an individual bloom. So
Yes.
it's creating that space
I
because
like that concept.
we need that from the time we are young. We don't just need it in our 30s or our 20s.
Yeah.
Even in our teenage years, we need that. So that's the bloom experience. And I'll share those details so you can share.
Yes, please. I would like to share give all those details because first of all, count me in. I'm in that group already.
Awesome.
book club too.
Yes, yes,
I'm
yes,
just gonna be in everything that you say. All
yes.
right.
So
So
that's how
yeah.
I navigate those challenges and confidences is creating spaces that nurture me and pull me out when I'm in my funk. When I'm
Mm,
that I
yeah.
can't go. Yeah.
That's beautiful, and I love that you said that Michelle. You got that from Michelle Obama. There's that because I know she's big on friendship and community. She has what she calls, I don't know, a cabinet, a kitchen cabinet or something. Her friends. I like that concept that you're creating, and it's actually multi-generational. So at every season, because and like you're saying, even when you're, especially even for teenagers, that's a very challenging time. So if we can have that kind of that concept that you're having where everybody is blooming and that's a very good support system. My pastor says that we were not created for isolation, we were created for community. So I believe that is so important. And I think that's very helpful even because especially at this age of a lot of mental health issues,
Yes.
that's something that can help with that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah. And it's good that you brought that up because research shows that now that we live in a very isolated place, just because I have my phone with me, I feel like I'm connected, but I'm really not, right? And and there's research that shows the more time, for example, if among adolescents or young people, the more time they spend on social media, it's actually there's a positive correlation with having mental health challenges, right? Because
yeah.
in that moment you're isolated, but also in that moment you are now comparing or being compared to millions
Yes.
of people, and we get anytime we get a like, it's an endorphin kick. But then
Yeah.
if we get a like, we're like, nobody
Yes.
likes the post.
Right.
Nobody like, so you slowly get your worth from the liked posts. But there's so many factors. You posted at midnight. Some people are, but those kinds of things. So social media is a great tool, but it's also, if mishandled and not managed well, it can be a very detrimental tool that can be very destructive, especially in those formative years. And even for us as for us as mature people, individuals, we get distracted and you end up spending 5 hours on your phone just scrolling. That's 5 hours of productivity. So we know there's some great things in there, but it's also can be very easy to build bad habits that impact not only your mental well-being, but even your productivity.
Right. And I know you're also big on that mental health and you do mental youth. You have is it youth to tell me the program? Yeah, what
Yeah,
you
so we've done a few things. They've gone a little dormant now, especially post-COVID with everything, but still very active in various things. The Youth Engagement Society is the one that my brother and I co-founded, but also supporting other youth-led initiatives or youth initiatives such as Inspire Spaces, right? This idea of giving, right? It's again serving in the space. I may not be able to give money, but I can give my intellectual capacity, right?
yeah,
I can give my experience.
yeah,
I may not be able to invest in your company with 10,000, but give me an hour and I may be able to teach you how to not lose money when you do get it. So
yeah,
in turn, that 1 hour of mistakes that I share with you, it can save you millions. And
right.
you may have wanted 10,000 from me. I
Yeah,
didn't give you 10,000, but I
right,
saved you millions in the long run because I shared my mistakes. That's
right.
something I've been thinking about. So yeah, so serving in anything that is youth centered, but really people centered, right? People centered, and I'm big on connections. I'm big on empowering and equipping
Right.
and supporting because I need that, and if I need that,
Yeah.
other people need that as well.
Oh, other people, we all need it. We
Yeah.
all need it. And again, we're going to share all the links to all the information you're giving us here. This is such valuable information, and I'm really appreciating it. Now, you were, and I don't know if this is still current, but I know you were the first Black woman to have tenure, to be tenured in, is it in your current department or?
Yes, in my current department, yes.
How was that? Congratulations.
First of all, I didn't know,
Wow.
right? And it was a shock, but it was a humbling realization, and it made me realize you may be setting trends and
Yeah.
opening spaces without you ever knowing. So the best thing you can do is walk worthy of that, right?
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know I was the Black tenured, first woman tenured faculty in that department, but I'm so glad I walked worthy of that. I
Yes.
walked worthy of that, but because I walked worthy of my God, to be
Right.
excellent, to be kind, to be all these things.
Right.
So it was humbling, and I don't see myself as a first, but hey, who am I? And I'm borrowing from our VP, Camilla Harris, is to say I may be the first, but I definitely will not be the last, because
I like that.
now I have given an example to another Black girl, or another immigrant girl, or another Mocorino girl, or another short Black girl, whatever identity you want to put
I
on
like
me.
that.
I've given somebody a visual that she looks like me.
Yeah.
She can, then I can, right?
Yeah.
So, and I love that, and that's why diversity and representation is so important. It's so important, and I'm glad I walked and carried myself as if I was the first.
Yes.
Because I would have been very embarrassed if I had a reputation of not being a first, right? And so that was challenging to me to say, you know what, don't belittle where you are. You may feel as if it's insignificant, but man, to somebody somewhere,
Yeah.
you are winning and winning in ways they think are impossible, but you are empowering them to
Yeah.
show them you can too.
You are winning a lot in so many areas. I'm just listening to you, and I'm just so inspired. Already in this just half an hour that we've been together, so inspiring. And I know you did bring the another Mocorino girl, and yes, you do wear a turban, which is good. And I'm curious to know if that has ever been like outside. Here you are, you're a fast. Here you are, you're just going for your goals. Has that ever been seen as something to stop you? I know it doesn't stop you, but have you seen, some lack of maybe acceptance in the way because of that?
Yeah, so unfortunately, yes. And I say that for me, and I know this is God's favor, it's nothing to do with me or anything like that, but I have not experienced that personally.
Okay.
Just because I have not experienced that personally. When
Yes.
people that look like me, act like me, experience it, I am a part of that. I feel that. I empathize with that, because that could be me.
Yes.
So that has stalled doorways and opportunity for girls back home in Kenya, which
Yes.
is a huge injustice, because borrowing, I'm a quote person, if you won't tell by now, but in Martin Luther King, I have a dream, creed or color or race or socioeconomic status should not keep you from achieving something that somebody else does. So a turban should be added on there, because that's religious status. And it's an injustice when an opportunity is pulled away, all because of an identity, whether that is gender, whether that is race, whether that is ethnicity, whether that is economic status or religious status.
Religion.
It's an injustice. It is wrong. And it happens, unfortunately. Bias and stereotypes happen. When I came to this country, it was interesting. The discrimination that I experienced changed. And it still changes. When I go to Kenya, the discrimination I experience is religious based. It's turban. when I come to America, it's skin based. So they don't know. They see me, I'm black. So the stereotypes, the bias that a black woman, a black person gets in this country, I pick up as well. Not religion. But when I go to Kenya, it's religious. So discrimination happens, unfortunately, but we have to make and work to make a change. And that change starts with representation. That change starts with creating this idea of creating diverse spaces where that white person can interact with that black person and see you're human just like me. When I say this, you get hurt just like me. That's where empathy starts. It's realizing we're connected and we're the same. So if I cut you, you're gonna bleed just like me, and I don't want to be cut, so I'm not gonna cut you. And the same way is interacting with Aquarinos and others because you realize, or you will, that we are just human beings. We have feelings. We are imperfect people. We make mistakes. We are basic everyday individuals. We want to be loved. Things hurt us. And if you ridicule us, it's going to hurt.
It's gonna hurt.
It's
Yeah.
going to hurt. So
Yes.
if you don't want to be ridiculed,
Yeah.
don't ridicule me. And
Others.
if you don't want to be judged in terms of just because I wear a turban, you assume that my intellectual capability is limited.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
Exactly.
You say that
Exactly.
very boldly. Shame on you,
Yeah.
especially if you have had an opportunity to learn otherwise, or you have refused to
Yes.
learn otherwise.
Exactly.
So it's not shame on you for somebody that has never interacted with somebody different. But
Mhm.
once you interact with somebody different and
Yeah.
you connect with them and you see they're human beings,
Yeah.
but you still continue to discriminate, shame
Right.
on you, but it's a loss for you as well
It's
because
a loss for
you
them.
lose
Get
out
to.
on great connections. You lose
Yeah.
out on great workmanship. You lose out on smart people
Yeah.
all because of a bias, whether that is religious, racial, socioeconomic status.
Yeah.
Let's level the playing field and see people as people,
As
people that
people.
deserve to be loved, and treat your neighbor as yourself.
So good. I like the way you say they lose out because I mean, if someone can just the minute you started talking, I was just listening and I'm looking and I'm like, oh my goodness, and I'm absorbing all this. And if someone is just looking at this person like, looking and criticizing, then you lose out. Because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what else can she say that I can take home with me? Because
Yeah.
this is just so powerful. So yeah, those things are unfortunate, and especially when they happen at home, the religion discrimination, that's unfortunate. But yeah, I'm so happy to speak with you, Dr. E. I
Thank
would
you.
just like you, and I would like for you to come back again. But what's next for Dr. E? Tell me, what is next for her?
What's next for Dr. E is, I alluded to it earlier, launching into this God-given assignment, the Bloom Experience,
Yeah.
happening August 24th in Dallas.
Okay.
And to just create spaces like this where it's not just me reaching, it's also empowering other women to reach other women.
Yes.
And we create many Bloom spaces everywhere we go. Everywhere I go, I should be looking for a woman to connect with, to support, and to celebrate. Every
Yes.
space I go into, I should look for somebody to pour into. And so that's my assignment, is to create that space and equip and empower girls from sixth grade all the way to grown to be able to do that. It's not a Dr. E thing, it's a everybody thing. And so the Bloom Experience is what is next. And even as I do that, just continuing to develop, to grow as spiritually, to grow professionally, and to just grow as an individual, learning,
Yes.
reading books. Right now, we'll be reading a book club book that we selected. Is called I am Black, I'm not depressed. Of course, it's a play on words. It's
Okay.
actually by a Kenyan author. I'll give you
Oh,
the link.
yes, please.
And I am not getting any promo benefit. You gotta give people flowers, and that's the
Don't
space.
give people flowers for
Yeah, the
sure.
next time I talk, who knows? Maybe I'll be reading Brene Brown. So it's
Exactly. Yeah.
so that's the book we're reading. So I plan to continue just growing and and mining, so that way I can be able to be a woman that can pour into somebody else as well.
And that's exactly what you're doing. You've poured so much today. I thank you. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that we missed that you would like to say to my listeners?
I would say keep going. Keep going. Every day you wake up, it's a gift. It means your job is not done, your purpose is not done. You still have something to do. And sometimes we may think purpose is outside of the house, but it could be very much in your house, in your family. So even as you grow elsewhere, grow yourself and grow those around you, whether it's your family relations, whether it's your social relations, the immediate connections, those also need to be watered, because as they grow, you will also grow. So just continue doing just that.
Awesome. I love that. Now, where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram, our Bloom Nation, this word, Our Bloom Nation, on Facebook. What am I calling myself on Facebook? Bloom with E. So, and on LinkedIn, Dr. Elizabeth Wachira, if you want to connect professionally. And yeah, yes.
Very good. An event in August that's open to everyone.
It is open to every woman, sixth grade to grown. And the reason sixth grade is, at some point we have to start somewhere, and maybe one year we will have elementary girls, but for right now, sixth grade all the way up to 100. And I would love to see 11-year-olds to 101-year-olds,
Oh, I love
because
that.
we can pour into one another.
Yeah.
And so it's for every woman within that demographic group. And most welcome, most welcome.
Very good. Oh, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank
E.
you. I
Appreciate you so much. And
Thank you.
you have a good rest of your day.
Likewise, you do the same.
Thank you very much. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Dr. E. Did you just love her confidence? Well, leave a comment on social media and tag myself and Dr. E and let us know what your takeaway was. And until next time, take care.